Good morning, MPC. Magandang umaga. Presidential Spokesperson Sal Panelo.
Good morning to all of you. Ina with the flaming red. Do you have any question?
Question, MPC. Ate Rose. Mike, please. Ate Rose. Thank you.
Ay, sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, paiimbestigahan po ba ng palasyo yung siniwalat ni Congressman Andaya na sangkot si Budget Secretary Jokno dun sa 75 billion insertion sa 2019 budget?
I think the House is investigating it.
Pero ang as executive branch po, ang Malacanang po ba mag-iimbestiga? Dahil sinabi dati ni Presidente kahit na whiff of corruption, hindi siya papayag, hindi niya pahihintulutan
Oh yes, of course. We will go to the bottom of this. Secretary Jokno has denied any involvement in the allegation made by Congressman Anday.
Sir, how about yung pagkopo ng City Leoncio yung pag corner po ng City Leoncio construction po dun sa mga kontratang binanggit po ni Secretary
We will look
Andaya.
into that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ate Rose. Okay. MPC question. Joseph. Okay. Joseph, then...
Sir, who will conduct the investigation?
We will wait for the President's announcement.
Jonah? Okay na. Joseph?
Pero sir, merong investigation gagawin Palace into the allegation?
Since there is allegation of corruption, it follows that we have to investigate.
Okay, cool. All right, sir. Do we see something wrong with selecting just maybe yung isang contractor getting maybe a lion's share of the projects as alleged by Congressman Andaya?
Well, we have to investigate first. Exactly. We don't even know if it's true or not. Because there have been denials.
And the end goal, of course, is of the investigation.
Come again?
The end goal, sir.
Well, of course, we have to know exactly whether the charges of or allegations of corruption is true or not, or favoring certain particular persons or firms.
Pero sir, yun ba may violation agad by
I was
pre-selecting?
listening to Senator Lacson's explanation that the grant of projects to certain contractors prior to the enactment of the budget is made because, according to him, the reason is that it might affect the projects. Because after the budget is approved, then you will have to go to process of bidding. So nagkakaroon ng delay. Kaya pinababayaan na lang daw nila. Yun ang explain, yun ang narinig ko kanina.
And Palace side is you see nothing wrong with it.
Kung the reason is because you want to prevent the delay in projects that requires attention or implementation for the benefit of the people, walang masama doon. Ang ayaw natin kung may corruption. Yun ang palagi, yun ang bottom line.
But if it's pre-selected, obviously it didn't go through bidding.
Ay, yun ang hindi ko alam yung portion na yan. Baka naman may bidding din.
Okay. Doon sa allegation muna. Sa allegation pa rin.
Yeah, Secretary, anong paliwanag na makaka-appease sa paniniwala ng publiko na posibleng alam ito at may approval ito ng Pangulo, itong pag-iikot ng budget nila sa Kongreso?
Well, the position of the President ever since has been known to all of us. He will not interfere in any branch of the government, nor even in the departments of the executive. But he will make people in those departments accountable when there is corruption being done, undertaken by any of the departments. So that's very clear. He has not interfered and will not. He will only come in when there is corruption.
Sa tingin ninyo, kahit sa Secretary Jokno, kung sakasakali at talagang sapagkat yung sinasabing contractor ay nakasaad mismo doon sa National Expenditure Program, Ibig sabihin ko si Secretary Joknoy may maling ginawa, hindi sasantuhin ito ng Pangulo.
Secretary Jokno has already denied any involvement or any link. But let me repeat what we have said repeatedly. This president is no respecter of friendship, of alliances, of party affiliations, of friendship. His principle is you follow the law, you violate it, you will account for it. You engage in corruption, and you will be fired.
No sacred cows.
No sacred cows in this government. As he has already shown repeatedly too, many times over.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Henry. Ma'am. Tina, Christine, Nestor, and still on the allegation. Tina, Christine, Nestor, and other matters.
Sir, good morning. Pwede yung paki-clarify kung how will the executive investigate the alleged allocation of multi-billion pesos sa budget when we are in the process of approving the budget? And is this not interference? Kasi papaimbestigahan nyo yung issue of multi-billion projects
No.
going to one.
Because on the part of the executive, it wants to know whether or not there has been illegal insertions in the budget. On the part of the House, they will investigate whether or not these insertions made are really illegal. Because I've been told, as explained by Congressman Maricar Zamora, that the pork barrel, which is declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, refers to lump sum that has been approved without any specific areas where this money will go. But this particular budget being referred to are line budgets, meaning to say that the line agencies were the ones who pinpointed the projects. And so when it is approved, we know exactly where it will go. That is the explanation. And I understand also that it's not only limited to Speaker Arroyo, nor to Congressman Andaya. From the record, it appears now that there are so many of them, 99 plus. But what is important to me is that these allocations to particular areas should be viewed as necessities on those particular projects. In other words, the president will not allow any favored district. He wants that all districts will have equal opportunities to growth, to progress, and to services. That is what he wants. Pursuant to his advocacy that Filipinos should have a comfortable life. In other words, kailangan pantay-pantay. Walang maaapi.
Sir, we understand your explanation. I think the question also is why are these big ticket items going to just one single contractor?
Precisely, that's why I said we will look into that, if that is true or not, because that is just an allegation.
Nonetheless, sir, today is the last session day of Senate and the House of Representatives. Parang hanggang mamayang gabi tatapusin nila yung approval of Senate of the budget. Is there a need for the President to call for a special session to avoid the reenactment of the 2019 budget?
Well, I will ask the President when I see him today.
Also, are there truth to reports that the executive is recommending the inclusion of a provision in the budget to impose a parang exemption dun sa election ban on the disbursements of certain funds?
I do not know that. I just learned from you. I will inquire.
Sir, as a lawyer, ano po bang nung election ban and the use of funds? Kasi I think by before third quarter, start na ng campaign season.
Well, there are specific provisions of prohibition of using government money within a particular period of time. certainly we will observe that. Anybody who violates that will have to be prosecuted.
So can a provision under a national budget, like such as the 2019 budget, supersede what is in the omnibus election code
No.
regarding election ban?
It cannot violate that law.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tina. Christine, then after Christine, Astor, and ma'am. Okay.
Sir. Sir, as you pointed out today, you said the president wanted an equitable allocation
Yeah.
of funds in the budget. And in your statement yesterday, you also said you're leaving it up, the palace is leaving it up to Congress to make the necessary amendments. And,
Revisions.
yes. So, does the palace want an overhaul of the budget right now?
A what?
An overhaul of the budget right now? Because you have, as it stands, based on Majority Leader's Andaya's report yesterday, he said na parang, di ba he pointed out the districts that got yung mga bigger allocation on infrastructure funding. So, does it mean that we have to overhaul the budget as it stands right now?
I will repeat what I said earlier. It is the duty of Congress to scrutinize the budget, that it follows the law on budget. So it's their call. They can do whatever they want to do with the budget, provided it's within the constitutional restrictions.
Pero as it stands right now, parang hindi equitable, sir, yung allocation eh.
That's the claim. We really don't know that. Allegations have been throwing left and right. But is it true? Because sometimes a particular district needs that kind of budget. Perhaps that particular area has been asking for funds and never was given, while others are favored during the past administrations. We don't know exactly. We have to probe deeper.
Yeah. But Andaya wrote the president yesterday stating that it was the camp of former Speaker Alvarez who got the big share of the, allocations to infrastructure funding. So, di ba that's already, proof enough, because you said you still have to investigate it.
Again, that's an allegation.
Sir, he wrote the president,
Yes,
sir.
we responded to that. I already issued a statement that we thank him for that, and we said that the position of the president is we will not allow any violation of the law on budget.
Okay, last na lang. So do we want the budget to be changed, sir, right now?
If it violates the Constitution or the laws covering it, then certainly we will not allow it. So that's precisely why I'm telling you it's House call. They will have to deliberate. They have to decide whether or not this is in violation of the Constitution.
Thank you, Christine. Okay. Kaya ano muna, Joseph, kaya na Astor. Tapos, Astor, mic please.
So related to that, you mentioned this morning that you wanted the creation of a department that would look into the needs of its districts amid allegations of budget insertions and questionable allocations.
I was floating a suggestion.
Yes, sir,
From
but my
point
question
of-
is,
From my point of view as a lawyer and as a citizen of this land, that perhaps it's better that we have a department created by the executive whose function would be just to go over the country and look what exactly are the requirements of every district and then recommend, so that the accountability will be only one. Unlike now, you don't know where it's coming from. Finger pointing is all over. While if you have only one entity that will decide, so the accountability will be falling on that particular office.
so
That's only a suggestion.
just to be clear, sir, this is your position and not the position of Malacanang.
No. I was just floating the idea during the interview.
Thank you, Nestor. Ma'am, after you, ma'am, kay Joseph ulit.
Good morning, sir. I'm
Morning.
Ellen Cruz of Tokyo Shimbun. Sir, so yesterday, last night, we learned that
Maria Ressa of Rappler is one of the so-called the guardians on press freedom. And what is Malacanang's reaction on that? And the other question is, how do you define now the state of press freedom in the Philippines?
Well, obviously, since there are still critics attacking the administration, criticizing the administration, the freedom of expression in this country is a robust one. Nobody has been prosecuted for criticizing the administration. Those who have been charged are in connection not with their freedom of expression, but for commission of crimes, which the courts have found probable cause. That is precisely their now being tried. Now, with respect to the awardee Reza, that's the call of the awarding organization. It has its basis of awarding certain people. Certainly, we cannot intrude into that. It's not our turf.
Sir, but do you agree with the award?
No, whether we agree or not, it doesn't matter. That's the award of a particular organization.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Joseph, pasensya na. Si Celerina muna. Celerina, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Going back lang po dun sa budget, I want to rephrase yung question regarding the special session. Kasi this morning, Secretary Jokno mentioned that they will recommend to the President for the President to call a special session because of this budget problem nga. So, and he also mentioned that if we will have a reenacted budget, our disbursements could be reduced by around 220 billion by 2019, and it could affect the country's target of 7% GDP. It would be slashed to around, to 4.7% to 5.9%. So how important is it for the President to call for a special session?
Well, if that is the recommendation of the economic managers, if it will affect the government's expenses and services, then the president will be persuaded to grant the recommendation of the economic managers.
Do you think there would still be time? Kasi considering na it's like half a month na lang.
If there's a will to do it, it will pass.
Sir, you have also mentioned about equal allocation of budget sa different districts. So do you think there's a need to slash the budget allocated, for instance, sa district po ni Speaker Arroyo and Mr. Andaya?
That will depend on the House. It will be the one who will revise it, who will scrutinize it. It's not the executive.
Thank you, Celerina. Joseph, still on the budget. Amiana. Other matters, MPC? Maricel, please. Mike, please. Salamat, Archie.
Hi, sir. Good morning. On other
morning.
issue. Sir, will the president now consider to travel to US after the American government has returned the Balanghiga bells?
I haven't asked him that. I will ask him when we go to Samar to turn over the Balangiga bells.
But sir, as a personal friend of the president, you think he will consider that now?
I really don't know. I cannot read his mind as of this time with respect to that. What I know is he really doesn't want to go to the US, apart from whatever reasons he has in mind. He cannot stand the temperature, the coldness. Talagang
Pwede
ayaw
namang
niya
summer.
pag sobrang lamig.
Pwede namang summer. But sir, what will convince the president to visit the said country?
I'll ask him. I'll
Okay.
relay it to you immediately.
Sir, yesterday I understand the president had a meeting with the U.S. ambassador. What was discussed during the meeting? May we know?
I do not know the result of the meeting yet, because I was out the whole day yesterday attending to other events.
May we know the
We
details
will.
later?
We will. I will issue a statement.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Maricel. Sir, tanong lang po ni Rosalie Cos, reaction ng Malacanang sa sinabi ni Marawi Civic Leader Samira Gutok na hadlang daw ang martial law sa BOL.
Saan?
Hadlang daw po ang martial law sa BOL. Bangsamoro Organic Law. BOL.
I do not see any relation. Well, what's the relation? In fact, martial law is even acceptable to the people of Mindanao precisely because the security is kept. If there will be a plebiscite, then people who would want to do something to derail the plebiscite will think twice because there is martial law. It's even helpful.
Thank you, Spokes. Ina? Mike, please. Budget.
Sir, still just a bit of clarification on your previous responses. You've been saying that you want an equitable allocation for the budget in the budget, and yet when asked if you want this the budget changed amid yung allegations of significantly bigger budgets given to some provinces, you say that it's up to Congress. So how will you make sure that the budget is equally allocated to the different provinces?
I think the members of Congress will know which particular district has the necessity, the requirement of that particular budget during deliberations that will come out. Because when you say equitable distribution, it doesn't mean equal. It means only that there is a necessity to allocate certain budget to a particular province. Like, for instance, one province is asking for a project on the roads, and another one is asking for a building of a bridge that has been damaged, which is giving access to all. Between the two, you will be giving the allocation to the one who needs the bridge, construction of a bridge, rather than the road. Ito kasi pwede pa naman daanan yung road, pero yung bridge, paano mo may lilipat ng lahat ng mga tao, pati mga commodities. So, depende. So, when you say equitable, kasama na dun yung necessity.
So this will not cover this will not be resolved doon sa investigation na gagawin ninyo na sinasabi mo about.
The investigation will only cover kung totoo yung allegation na mayroong isang contractor lang na nakabag ng 30 projects. Yung mga allegation of corruption. Kasi puro allegation lang yun. Hindi pa natin alam exactly kung totoo o hindi. Joseph.
Sir, yung proposal nyo sounds like the function of the DBM already.
Hindi rin eh.
Why?
Kasi hindi ba sa DBM, nag-aantay lang sila ng mga pagpasok ng mga items. Like sinasabi nga ni Secretary Jokno, galing yan sa line agencies. In other words, maraming agencies involved. Samantalang yung iniisip kong departamento, isa lang sila nga magde-decide. Isa lang eh.
Na mag-allocate and everything?
Oo, kasi sila ang pupunta sa mga distrito. Alamin nila ano bang mas kailangan dito. Tatanungin nila yung mga nandun. They will see personally kung ano. So they will be recommending, itong kailangan dito. Mas kailangan ba nila o mas kailangan ng kabila? So ganda yun, isa lang ang nagde-decide.
Hindi pa ginagawa ng DBM yun, sir?
Hindi, ang DBM nag-aantay lang eh.
No.
Oo, nag-aantay sila.
Dapat i-validate yun sa budget cycle, right?
Sige nga, tell me, how will Secretary Jokno validate kung kailangan ng distrito ito o hindi kailangan ng distrito? You mean to tell me he's going to all this?
You want parang mag-on the ground talaga yung DBM?
Yeah, kailangan may departamento na yan.
Okay.
Na, tatanungin niya, sino naman magbabantay sa departamento niya? At least one, isa na lang ang pinpointed mong may responsibilidad. Diba? Number two, meron namang COA nag-oversee. Less ang opportunity for corruption, for graft. Kasi isa lang ang kausap mo eh.
Sir, does the palace still trust si Secretary Jokno?
Oh, definitely.
Despite all these allegations?
Mr. Jokno is known to be the Mr. No. Meaning, he's a man of integrity. So when he says he's not involved, I believe him. unless you show me as a lawyer competent evidence to the contrary. The presumption he is a man of competence and integrity.
Thank you, Joseph. Henry, Christine, Mike, please. Thank you.
Secretary, please enlighten us. Ang mag-identified at mag-rekomenda ba ng proyekto ay nasa sa ilalim ng trabaho ng mga mambabatas?
Ang pagalan.
Pag-identify ng mga infrastructure projects, ang magrekomenda, ito ho ba'y nasa ilalim ng trabaho ng mga mambabatas?
It's supposed to be ang nagre-recommend nga yung mga line agencies. Now it's for them to scrutinize kung tama o hindi.
So to scrutinize but not to recommend, especially yung mga pet projects.
Correct. Sila nga, pero sila pa rin ang ultimate magde-decide. Kahit mo ni-recommend yan, kahit sino nag-recommend, pag nakita nilang mali, they can always revise.
Pero hindi ho ba kaya meron ng municipal engineer, city engineer, provincial engineer, district engineer ng DPWH? That's their responsibility to know, to identify the
Even if that
infrastructure
is the
project.
responsibility of these people in recommending, it's still the House that will have the ultimate authority to decide whether or not your recommendations are okay or not. That's their constitutional duty, and they cannot shirk from that duty.
So pwede nilang i-reject or talagang
Of
totally?
course, as I said, they have the authority to revise, to amend, whatever. And the president also has the authority to veto whatever they approve. That's the check and balance.
I'll pick up your words. To veto the budget. Pwede ba niyang i-veto na lang ito dahil dito sa mga anomalyang umano'y...
If there is an anomaly and is validated, the president may use the veto power.
Okay.
Salamat, Henry. Christine.
Sir, will the palace also investigate the allegation of Congressman Suarez that Secretary Jokno had something to do with the allocation of 2 billion worth of infrastructure projects in Sorsogon because his daughter is married to the vice mayor there, the vice governor ata?
I will repeat what I said. The palace believes in the competence and the integrity of Secretary John. Unless those who allege can show us competent proof to the contrary, the presumption of competence and integrity on the part of Secretary Jokno prevails.
So it's up to Suarez to,
Of course, one who alleges must prove. That's elementary in law.
Thank you, Christine. MPC, question? Still on the budget or other matters? No more question, MPC? No more. Maraming salamat, MPC. Presidential Spokesperson Salvador Panelo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to Radyo Pilipinas and PTV4.